How to get better at initiating. One of the most important skills to have in League of Legends is being able to initiate well. Today I'll be focusing on the fundamentals that allow you to become a good initiator, not really focused on tips or tricks. These skills you can work on from bronze through diamond because they have high skill caps. I still see many diamond players lacking some of these skills. Alright, let's get right into it. Assessing the enemy team's damage. How many times have you seen someone initiate, you lose the fight, and they start complaining about how the AD carry does no damage? Yeah, your AD carry doesn't do any damage, but you should know that information. It is readily available to anyone checking the scoreboard. If your AD carry is 1-3 on Lucian and hasn't even finished Infinity Edge, yeah, he's not going to be doing that much damage. It is just something that you have to set. You don't always have teammates that are going to be ahead or even in score. You have to be able to evaluate how much damage your team can do. Almost all of the information on how much damage someone does is available for you. Yeah, it is easier if you're playing the champion, but you can see what items they are building and what level they are. You don't have to be exact, you just have to estimate what damage they can do. At the same time, you need to do this for the enemy team and compare your team damage versus theirs. The better you can estimate, the more information you'll have for initiations. What does assessing the damage allow you to do? It allows you to know which initiations you can go for. Are we so far ahead that I can just go on their tanks and we can still crush them? Or are we so far behind that we have to catch their carries under our turret just to have a chance? When you have a significant lead, you can have weaker initiations and you tend to have more chances to initiate. When your opponent has a significant lead, you need stronger initiations and you tend to have fewer spots to initiate. I think one thing that prevents players from doing this is that they want the carries to tell them when they can fight. And I used to have that train of thought for quite a while. I always wanted to ask, can we fight? But what does that really tell you? It doesn't tell me what kind of initiations I can go for. Can I just ult anyone, or do we have to blow up their AD carry to win the fight? Some might think, yeah, I just need someone to tell me when to go. Oftentimes, by the time someone tells you to go, your good initiation spot has already passed. Your teammates really can't tell you more than the obvious. Everybody has information to evaluate. Even as the AP mid, you have to evaluate your AD carry damage, is your top laner damage oriented or tank oriented, how tanky your frontline is, etc. And then you have to do that for the enemy. Is that really so different from playing as the initiator? If you rely too heavily on your teammates, it really prevents you from doing the more creative and aggressive plays. Follow up. Know who can actually follow up. One of the biggest mistakes I see is when players go for initiation on the enemy backline, they lose the fight and they start complaining about how only he got on the carries. Yeah, sometimes your team is just doing stupid stuff, but a lot of time you are probably not being realistic about what your teammates can do. You need to be looking at where your teammates are positioned and what their health, mana, and cooldowns are. Let's look at this in movement initiation. Try to think about what needs to happen in the fight for the purple team to win and think about what realistically can happen. The game is close and blue has a slight gold lead. Off of this initiation, what do you think needs to happen to win the fight? I'd say they need to at least blow up Orianna and most likely Soraka. If they do not kill them quickly, they are in a bad spot to fight, they already have a low health Amumu and the other team has decent counter gauge. But can they realistically do this? Let's play out the scenario in our head. Amumu can lock them down with his ult and Jax can follow up with a stun. But what damage can they do? Neither of them can blow up someone quickly. Jax can do damage over an extended period of time, but the rest of the enemy team is close. Orianna could flash out, get healed by Soraka, or get some peel from her teammates. I would say it's possible for Jax to get a kill, but I don't think it would be better than a 1-for-1 trade. But that is not a really strong trade because it is a carry for a carry, and you already put so many resources into it. Kalista is just on the edge of following up, but if she did get in range, she is extremely vulnerable to Sivir with Olaf or Hecarim diving in on her. Kalista might all thresh in, but I don't really expect that out of solo queue players because this would be a really difficult spot to go for. The main tool you would need to blow someone up is Fizz, and he is on the other side of the map. So overall, I expect this to be a pretty poor fight for purple, and it is. You have to be constantly assessing where people are and think about how they can follow up. Are they close enough to land skills on the target? Is it realistic for them to land it? Don't expect players to land crazy flash ultimates or something like that. You should try to be realistic of what players can do at your level. Understand what the enemy team is going to do in return. Mostly I'm talking about the counter initiation. Poor initiations often put your team in a bad position. This allows the enemy team to get a good counter initiation. When you start an initiation, people tend to run toward the same target, and when you're trying to get there as fast as possible, people will most likely clump closer together. If you kill one of the carries quickly, it's okay to clump a little, but if you don't, you leave yourself open for a good counter initiation. In this clip, Shyvana is trying to flank the enemy team. This is a good situation to think about the counter initiation because you're going in on a weak initiation and when your team clumps, you are very vulnerable to a counter initiation, and the enemy team has got one of the best with Malphite. As you see, the team goes for initiation, clumps, and lines up perfectly for a Malphite ult. If it was done a little better, he could have gone a 4-man ult, but regardless, they pick up a 4-for-0 when the gold was very close. Don't be afraid to back off of a missed initiation. This is more just an addition to the previous topic. This happens a lot when someone sees a good initiation spot, misses their skill shot, and tries to keep forcing the initiation. It happens to the best of us. You see that 5-man wombo combo and you are thinking this is so sick. Then you miss the skill shot, keep chasing, and run your team into disaster. The most common one I see is with a Mumu. They miss the bandage, they keep running at the opponent, takes a bunch of damage, and ults their tank and support because they're about to die. You have to reassess the situation after you miss the skill shot. You should just forget about the good initiation. It is gone. Look at the situation as is. Take a look at this clip. Leona starts off with a good aggressive initiation by flash ulting on Vayne. But Vayne flashes out, Leona misses her E, but Leona keeps chasing. She exhausts Shyvana and keeps trying to fight. Why is it so bad that she keeps chasing in? Like earlier, when you keep chasing an initiation, you often put your team in a bad position. Originally, Leona had a good chance at an initiation, but now you have to again assess the situation as is. Here you see Malphite and Diana over the wall, ready for a counter initiation, and you don't have any good way to get on Vayne. Lulu walks through the choke and gets blown up instantly. Amumu is unable to set up for a good ultimate, and Jinx is forced to walk around the choke, and the entire team is quickly aced. It is okay to miss your initiations, even if you had to burn summoners or ultimates. It is going to happen, even if you get to a very high level. A high level player doesn't always hit their initiation, but they will identify when they need to back off of a bad one. Evaluating what is not on the map. One really common mistake is initiating when you don't have a good assessment of where the enemy team is. Some common situations involve going for a pick, 5v4s, or 5v3s. You need to be making an educated guess on where the rest of the enemy team is. Imagine this scenario. If it's 40 minutes into a game and your team is mid lane, the enemy tank and support are in the mid lane, the other 3 enemies are not on the map, so where do you think they are? I see many people try to initiate in this fairly obvious spot. More often than not, the rest of the enemy team is right behind them. It's 40 minutes in, most of the time people are sticking together. Let's look at this clip. Hecarim starts off an initiation on Jax and Thresh. Try to evaluate what is not on the map. Think about where the enemy team is most likely to be. We just saw Fizz, Jax, and Thresh in mid, and Kalista was just bot. They have Baron, so I expect the enemy team to try to push down a turret, most likely mid. Yeah, Hecarim only spotted 2, but the enemy team should be close by. There is no reason for Fizz and Mumu to be anywhere else, and how far could Kalista be at bot? This is a really obvious example, but I do see so many players try to initiate in this position, and say, I didn't realize the enemy team was there. You have to be thinking about where the enemy team is likely to be. If you don't have a reason for them to be somewhere else, then you should assume they are nearby. Speed. Lastly is just speed of the initiation, and this combines all the previous things that I've said, and it is how fast you can evaluate them. A lot of this work needs to be done before the fight. You need to be constantly thinking about your team's power level versus the enemies, what kind of follow-up you have, what kind of counter initiation they have, and if there are enemies in the fog war. It really pains me to see a Leona running at the enemy AD carry for like 3 seconds and then initiating. Yeah, maybe at lower ranks you have that luxury, but the higher you go, the smaller the window you have to initiate. These are definitely easy concepts to grasp, but they require a lot of work to be good at them. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.